Here's what we're making today. A little hidden journaling spot behind a frame. It has its own little gusset. Kia ora e te whānau. So here is our first signature that will be. I just said I wasn't going to stick anything more chunky in there, but we have. This is how our journal is coming along. It's all ready. And I haven't even done 7 of the pages that we've voted for. Mind you, a couple aren't actually pages. They're like little trims and pocket edges and tabs and stuff. She's already quite chunky, but I think she's looking beautiful. Welcome back. If you're new here, this is just a Come Make With Me series, and there is a full playlist. This is what we've already made throughout our journey so far, and you can either use your own stash and the techniques that I'm using to make the page, or you can use the digitals and make it so that it comes out a little bit more like mine. The details will be in the description below. Let's get making. Okay, so if you do have the Come Make With Me, I've made a template to make life a lot easier, and this is just on really rough, not meant for print and cardstock, which is why these are so faded. You'll see that later. And it's just got that backing so that I will show after I've done this the hard way. So that is the option. That is the base that we're making. But I always say to you guys that you can use your own stash. You don't have to have the Come Make With Me pack. So let's try and make this by hand and let the headache commence. So I know I'm meant to be making the 10 pages that we chose, and I promise we will. Sometimes I just get quite excited about an idea and I think, oh, let's make that. So I found these 2 postcards and I really wanted to use them. I thought they were beautiful for love letters and lace, so we might use this one. So grab a photo or a postcard that is in your stash of any size, and I'll try and make it so that this is generic. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm going to leave myself plenty of room, and this card here is 240 GSM. You would get away with 200. The template that I made is in 200, and we just want something quite sturdy. I definitely don't think paper would work. So then if you're concerned about whether or not it's square, which I had a little look at that postcard and it wasn't quite square. So I'm just going to line that up and double check. It wasn't out by much, but I really don't want to, see that there? That's out by quite a bit up the top there. So I'm going to move it out to its largest part, make sure that, and the shadows are not helping, make sure that that is on the line, and I'm just going to come down there so you can see. I know it's minor, but just trust me. So then what I'm going to do, and I have written my little measurements up here because I will be working in centimetres. I'm going to come out the sides 1.5 centimetres. And I do like to go top and bottom because if I just do one, I'm kind of approximating that it's straight if I line it up, but I just find this is a bit more accurate. So then I'm just going to, and down the bottom I think, so 1.5 centimeters is 5/6 of an inch that I've come out there. Down the bottom I actually think we'll go 1 centimeter, which is about 3/4 of an inch. Now when I convert my measurements, please know that I'm just doing this. So there's 1.5, and if I go down there, I am not great at converting between metric and imperial, but I am doing my best. And usually these measurements, they're not actually that vital when I'm making things and mechanisms, so don't worry about it too much. Don't get too caught up on the measurements. I mean, if this was slightly longer because 3/4 of an inch is longer, it's really not going to matter. So then, now this is going to be quite a large frame. Obviously it's going to take up most of our page, but I'm okay with that. Then we just need to decide how big we want this opening here so that I can see all of the picture. And I do want to bring it down slightly, probably leave about 1/4 of an inch there, or 1/2 centimeter, and because I need to cut a divot behind here and then cover it with fabric. It'll all make sense, I promise. So then what I need to do is, from this ruled edge, how far in do I want to come in so that I don't lose any of my man? So 4 centimeters is, there's 2 and here's 3, and 3 would be okay. Just remember we are going over the edge slightly because we want to cover this completely with fabric. So I'm going to go in 2.5, and I just want to check over this side, if I go 2.5, that I'm not going to lose any of her dress, which I'm not. So our inside measurement of our opening is going to be in 2.5. Obviously, if you're using your own stash and your own photo, it's going to be a different measurement. So it's not much point in me converting measurements from here on in. Just know that when you put whatever you traced around in the first place back into here, what you're doing is you're just coming in and you're making sure you're leaving a reasonable amount of space for the frayed edge of the fabric. So you don't want to measure right into here. You want to leave him a little bit of room. And then I think I said we were going to go down to about there. So up here, again, I don't want to come right down to the top of their heads because there's going to be fabric there. So I might actually go 2.5 again, which is about here, just to be on the safe side. And then down here, we definitely don't want this showing in the window, but I don't want to cut their feet off either. So this is all just guesswork at this point. I don't even know if this is going to work. 1.5. If I go 2, I'd rather go 2 and make sure that this doesn't show rather than worry about maybe not seeing the tip of his shoe under the fabric fraying. So I'm going to go into 2 here. And now I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to get a different pen so I can definitely see it, and I'm just going to join those up and fast forward. Okay, now you just want to cut this guy out. You do want this opening reasonably square, but again, the fabric's going to come over the edge, so it really doesn't need to be perfect. Likewise, you don't need to worry about the pencil lines or anything on there, because that's all going to be covered. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cover it with the fabric. So I don't actually know what I'm going to do yet, but I do know that Love Letters and Lace has little accents of black in it from the playing cards, so I have pulled out a couple of things that I might use. That's just some quick straight stitching, but I've alternated where I've gone in and out each time I sew a new line. I have some calico that's not tea-dyed or anything at all. I have an old hanky that is rust dyed. I have some of this coloured, and this is linen. This is just how it came. It's quite a raw linen. I have a little piece of napkin. Pretty sure that was rust and coffee. And I have a little bit of muslin, which I've just used my distress inks and water to dye. So I want to cover this initially first, so this part does not involve too much measuring, which is good. So you're going to go reasonably wide. I wonder if it'll let me take a little bit off there, but honestly the rattier the better, I think. Yeah, you want it about that. So really I've just got to kind of decide whether I want to start off with my different colours and then maybe just put a couple of layers on. And I am going to sew over this as well. I think that the different colours are going to be quite nice, rather than doing it all in the one calico first. And to a certain extent I am going to leave quite a few of these threads just hanging around as well. Maybe a bit of this guy. I just need to take that bit off first. Now, up here we need to cut a divot, and we need to make it so that these ones are kind of in two pieces so that we can lift it forward to find the tag. So just before we do anything else, and I'm going to do quite a deep divot. I might, just in case we see the edges, quickly now up to you. You could just turn that over and you could use the non-penciled side, but I just really don't mind. Anything that is going to maybe be seen as these little bits, you could rub those little bits out. Okay. So we need to get rid of you about there. Quite like that little rough bit, so I might keep him. And just be careful that when we're gluing, we're not going too far into eating into here, because we did measure that quite carefully so that we didn't lose the picture. Not that I actually think it would mind, it would just look like it was hiding, and you're going to see it when you pull it out anyway, so up to you. You could bring that in really close. And so up here we need 2 little pieces. Just so that we can easily pull that forward. I know it looks easy now, but I don't know how it'll go once I've sewn it. Never done this before, so we shall see. So if I put that there on that side, then I'm going to need something with black on it to balance that side. Now I do have a little piece that I found that I had stamped, but I don't think that's enough. So let's have a look. What if we cut a little bit of this? See how that balances better, but that's maybe even too heavy. So then I might bring that little guy on top. And you can keep layering this up as much as you like. You can do as many stamps as you like. It could look really cute with a little round postage stamp there, actually. Shall we try? Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. This is going to be our stamp block, and I could use my magnetic board that I made as well. Where do I want it? Maybe right across there. I don't really mind that it's not black. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. And I mean, you could hang little beads off here. It just depends. If this was for a journal cover, I'd go to town, but because it's going to be, you know, in a page, I don't want it too bulky, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's have a look what a postcard looks like underneath. Can you go under the cardboard? There you go. And we've got to remember that the stitching, decorative stitching that I'm going to put on there is also going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Yep, I'm happy with that. So all we need to do then is glue it on. Yay, Sara-Lee remembered to fill her glue bottles. So, and I don't want to use too much glue because I'm going to be sewing it. But I do want to make sure that I have glue down that edge, because I don't want it lifting too much. Just make sure I've got a little bit of frayed there. And then I think this guy might have been next. So just glue that edge, a little bit of glue somewhere else. And the glue that I'm using, as usual, is very similar to Fabri-Tac. I don't know if you'll be able to get this brand in your country, but it is called Glue. Gloo. It's just a clear acetone based glue that dries quick. Now, as you know, I am unable to take you to my sewing machine because of the darkness of my garage, and the sewing part isn't actually necessary. Just be a little bit more careful where you're gluing, I would say, and you'll be fine. So I'm just going, I do not want it to be perfect. I'm going to do some zigzag stitch, I'm going to do some straight stitch. Probably up here I'd want a bit of zigzag stitch to carry through the colour, and probably down here as well, and the rest I'm just going to really roughly, as wonkily as I can, straight stitch. And I think I'm just going to use dark brown rather than black. So I'm just going to go and sew that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so although I have trimmed the threads off the back because I don't want these to interfere when we glue it on, not that it will too bad anyway, I have left most of the threads on the front, but I think these two might interfere with the sliding mechanism, so I'm just going to trim those two when we slide the journal in and out. There we go. Now, some of you who have been here for a while, you know why my sewing machine's probably in the garage. You're like, oh yeah, fair. If you're new here, you might be thinking, well, why don't you just bring your sewing machine into your craft room? Because my craft room is my bedroom. We are currently filming from my bed, and this is just where I have space in my house. I do not have a dedicated craft room, so everything I have ever made that you've seen any video of has been done in my bedroom, on my bed. So there you go. If you want to just ink those, just to grunge them up a little bit and frame that a little bit more, you can. So now we need to get on to the next bit. So I'll just get rid of all of this. Okay, so to back this guy, and yes, I am going to stick it down. You don't have to, but for this it is going to be necessary. I think I might use this. This is just from an old album, but you could always use manila folder, you could use the brown manila folder, you can use whatever you like. Move him out of the way. And we don't need that much room, probably about 1/4 of an inch around the outside. This is a French postcard. I can't read it anyway. So I am just going to stick it down. I have scanned it, so it's okay. Just for now, I'm going to leave that. Now I am going to quickly put some lined paper on the back because I do want this to be writing space. And I'm thinking I might just use a little piece of this, because why not? So I'll quickly just go away, ink it, glue it on the back there, and I'll come back. Okay, I'm going to use this because, and you can use any paper that you've got, scrapbooking paper. I just had a look and I quite like how this will look behind it, 'cause we don't want plain paper when we pull the journaling card out. This is one of my gel prints. It is on laser. I did print it through the laser copier at school, and it is on cartridge, probably about 160 to 180 GSM. You do want it thicker than copy paper because of where you'll be sliding this in to the pocket. I feel like the little, you'll see what I mean, the little bit that sticks up might get a bit worn if we don't. Now the bits that fold over are actually only going to be about 1/4 of an inch or 5 mils, so you can really score that guy anywhere. So I'm just going to, I want that bit, so I'm just going to come in there. I'm going to fold that, and we just want to leave just a little bit of room so that we can slide it in and out. So that would be exact at 4 inches. I'm going to go one more out. And the same with the bottom. Like at the moment, this is too wide, and usually because it will sit out like that. So we'll see that in a second. Just going to quickly trim that guy off to there for now. And then we just need a quick bottom crease. Just going to snip into those corners to reduce a little bit of that bulk. And we kind of need to put that. Now this is, like I said, the first time I'm doing this, so this could go very badly. It could go well. Okay, so as you can see, I can't see the flaps past the inside edge, so that's fine. And we just need to figure out where we approximately want that, and then we just need to trim this guy down. So I don't want to be able to see it, but I do want little guides for us to put the postcard back in. So the absolute height, so that we don't really see those, is about there, that we need to chop that off. So this guy, I'm just going to slice him off there. And then we just want to angle these slightly. And you're going to ever so slightly see these bits, so just that top edge. I'm just going to put more ink on there because it's going to disappear anyway. Now this guy, out there, so I'm just going to turn it over, and by the looks of it, I am going to need to glue this on with that touching that line. So now that I've moved it, let's just check. Could actually come down slightly, so I'm just going to end up gluing it right to the very bottom. Now we need to figure out what we have to do with that, but that's not entirely necessary right now. What we need to do is glue this guy on. So I'm just going to fast forward this part. Want to make sure that that gap there and that gap there are similar, or as close to. You might have noticed that I didn't quite glue up to the top, and that's because we don't want glue to be there. There we go. And then we should be able to get that in reasonably easy. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is figure out where we're going to put our tab so that it sits behind here, but when we pull it forward we can still grab it. I honestly think the best idea would be to put a little string or something through the tab so that you've actually got something to pull. You don't have to slide your finger underneath the tab. And I probably will do that, so I'll just get a couple of options for tabs. Okay, so just got my little box of tabs out. Now if you don't have a punch, just to show you an alternative, just grab a square. If you've got one of these punches, otherwise you could just cut a corner rounder. You can angle them, you can round them, or you can do a little shape. Ooh, don't know what's going to happen there, but it's only going to be an example. And you've instantly got a little tab. Does not have to be a whale tail, does not have to be the standard other type that you find on filing folders. And then often I will either pop an eyelet in there or a circle protector, and then I'll just make a little tab like that. That actually does look quite cute. I was actually wondering if that one, but tell me, maybe I'll use this one since it means you don't really have to have a actual tab punch. And like I say, you could just angle cut those. Equally makes a cute little punch. I'll just get a couple of circle protectors. Now mine are never perfect because I make them. And I would definitely want a contrasting colour to the brown, but I'm actually thinking black might be better. And I do want to put an eyelet in there as well, so I have a feeling this is going to be a long video, but that's because I've got to show two ways. So if you're making with your own stash, you can leave once we've finished this part if you want to. I'd love you to grab a cuppa and stay and watch anyway, but I'm sure you've got other things you could be doing. going to re-punch the hole through there so I can see where I need to put this guy. Now I think somebody asked me last week maybe about this box. Now, where did I get these from? These are little labels that I just pre-made, stamped. I've got a stamp set. Most of them are just stamps on different varying colours of paper. I fussy cut some butterflies. Those ones, they are on my website. So are those, the little labels. So are those guys. These I always pre-punch. See, I need some more black ones. This was fun. Making little rusted looking embellishments. I did that for my grungy journal that I haven't even shown you guys yet. But yeah, grab a box like that and just whatever you've got in your stash with stamps, just stamp away on a whole bunch of different colours of paper. I highly recommend watching Crafty by Tony because she does a lot of prep like that. Her little set is something to be envious over for sure. She's always got really cool stuff. So if we pop him back in there, we just need to figure out where we want to put this guy so that he can't be seen. So he needs to go about there. Which means we can draw a line there so I know where to stick it. Oh, no, that won't work, Sara-Lee. And I probably only want it sitting on the tab to about there. So I need to chop some of this off now. I'm thinking probably about there. No exact science for this one. I'll use that for something. I don't know what, but I'm not throwing him away. And then when we stick him on there, quickly ink that. But I definitely think I'm going to stick a little string through as well, just so that it's easier to grab. So I've just chucked an eyelet through there. This video will be long enough without showing you how to do an eyelet. And I think I just want something really simple, but will I double that? Will that be enough to grab, I wonder? Because I don't want it to be too visible. I reckon that'll be alright. Now this is quite slippery thread, so I wouldn't usually, but I'm just going to tie one double knot there, and then one knot. You're more than welcome to make something a bit more significant than that if you want to. And then that hides down there. That only gives the tiniest little hint that there might be something there, but if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. And it matches the little black accents. So now where are we going to put it in our journal? I am thinking, now I know I said I didn't want to add too much to this signature, but you know my journals are chunky. I was thinking that would look really cool there. Yeah, I'm going to put it there. So you can go to town with gluing this one on. There is nothing that will get in the way. You don't have to worry about gluing the wrong space. And I'm just going to pop that under something heavy until it's dried. And now we'll get on with the little template. And there's your hidden journaling space. Probably going to put a couple of stamps on there, but you don't need to watch me stamp. Hang on. There we go. Stamps. Just a little bit of interest. Okay, so now we are going to get on with our template version of this so that I can show you how that works. So if you're leaving now, I will miss you, and I will see you next time. If you are staying for the template make, then I'll see you soon. So you've got the 2 postcards. This is a lighter version. This one is just labelled postcard, journal, card. If you want it matte, this is what it prints like on your matte photo paper, and I've just set it to best, and I've got borderless off. I also printed it on gloss, same settings, best, borderless off. And then there's another file in there that the only difference is it's got this capital letters warmer on it, and that's what it prints like by comparison. So it's just a little bit darker and a little bit yellower. So I'm probably going to use this one, to be fair. I think it's closest to the postcard, although yeah, it's so hard to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to cut these out around the edges and I'll come back. Okay, so this one I have just chopped out like that. Then the only thing you need to do is chop those corners off a little bit. And this piece, I just got a craft knife and we're going to get rid of that. Now my matte photo paper is only 170 GSM, and because we're putting fabric on it and then sticking it onto there, it probably won't matter, but if that is going to bother you, I'd just get another piece of card, glue it on first, then chop the whole thing out. Also, we have some different options here. So this is the gloss. Again, it must be about 170 GSM. I wouldn't be happy with chucking that in a pocket as it is, although once we've got the lined paper on, it'll give it one extra layer. But that wouldn't be my preferred option. That's the gloss photo paper, and I've just glued it to some manila card, and I just roughed up the edges with some scissors and inked it. And this one is just the matte photo paper print. I haven't cut out the postcard or anything. That's the background it comes with, and I have backed it with another piece of card. That's my 200 GSM card that I've put on there. So there are a couple of options. You can do what you want. So now I just need to score down here, and I won't show you all of them, but sometimes what I like to do, rather than line it straight up, I like to just sit it so that it's right on a line, and sometimes just swivel it if I need to make sure that it is lining up perfectly on that line. So I'll just go away and do this and come back. Okay, so now would be the time to decorate, as in the first part, with your fabric and the sewing, and do everything that you want. So you're going to have to use your imagination and imagine that this has already got all of the layers of fabric and sewing on it. Okay, and then all you need to do is just quickly double check that that slides in nicely. Also check this line here is exactly where I wanted to make it as easy as possible for us. Oh, and I folded that the wrong way. Sara-Lee, I don't want it to be white. Hang on. You're probably like, where did the collaging go? I had it backwards. Alright. So we'll just double check that everything fits nicely. So yeah, this line here is exactly where you're going to glue the bottom edge of this. So you're just going to line that up with that line. Make sure that these are pretty much even. It's not going to matter if it's a little bit off, so don't worry about that. And then when we turn it over, it should be perfect. So yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do. No measuring, which is, yeah, I mean, that it's great, and if you've got your own postcard, that's also great. You also could, if you don't want this collage to be the background, you could stick a different piece of paper there just to shake it up a little bit. And I'll just quickly stick this on, and then I can probably take you out of there now. So I'm just going to line it up with that line and try and make those mostly even. There we go. So what I was saying is, if you don't want that there, I would just stick another piece of paper in. Don't go all the way to the fold, because you don't need to. You can see you've got, there's the fold there, you've got this much room. So this piece of paper I would cut to it only needs to go to about here, and then it won't interfere with your mechanics of your fold. There we go. So using our imagination, now we would go and we would make the tab like we did in the first part. This cover would already be covered in fabric, and that guy just slides right in there. And I will show you that the other one, what that one looks like. There we go. And I just think the most important thing is, I know this looks messy, but this sticking up, it just makes it so much easier to see where the pocket is and where to slide it into when you just lift your fabric forward. So for you guys, I hope that's helpful. If you don't have the Come Make With Me, you don't have to. Like the beginning of the video, I showed how to make it without it. And if you do not know what the Come Make With Me is, there is a video about how the digitals work, etc., and what that is in the description below this video. But like I said at the beginning, I like to make it so that if you have a completely different little selection of papers, I have a whole box of a blue French journal that I actually want to make probably next. And you might have a box of French blue or strawberry shortcake, or at least you can use the beginning part of this video to use any photo, any cutout, any journal card you like, and you'll know how to get those measurements. I hope you enjoyed that, because I did. It took a bit of thinking just to engineer that. It seems so simple, and there probably is a simpler way of doing it. You could make that so that these edges of the frame have tabs, and that you could just slide that down into it. That could work too, but then you've just got the fold. You would have to get this part, when you're sliding it in, past that cut edge of the fold that would be running down the end. So I thought this was a nice way. It's already going to be difficult with the fabric and the way up the top. I thought this was a nice way to slip it in there and make it easy. All right, now that you've done that, rewind back to the next timestamp and either work on the fabric or the tab. All right, I had fun with you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Mā te wā!